Colombia is a country located in South America. Its capital is Bogotá. It has 42 million inhabitants. Of them, 4 million live abroad. It possesses all the climates, 2 oceans, the Pacific and the Atlantic, and it occupies the first places in the world as far as biodiversity. The political constitution defines Colombia as a social state of right. It is a unitary, democratic, participatory, and pluralistic republic, based on the respect to the human dignity, the solidarity of the people, and the prevalence of the general interest. It also guarantees the right of free association. The union representatives are recognized with a statute law and with many other guarantees for their management. Among the ones, they're not to be dismissed without any right cause. This decision is previously defined by a judge. The Constitution determines that the international labor treaties properly ratified are part of the international legislation. Among the ratified, we have the International Labor Organization, specially referred to the union freedom and to the protection of the free association right. That is to say, from the constitutional norm, Colombia is a paradise for all human beings. The 73.9% of its inhabitants are concentrated in the urban areas and have near 4 million people displaced by violence. Colombia is counted among the American countries with greater inequity in the distribution of its wealth. 20% of its richest homes concentrate 52% of the income, whereas the 62.4% of the population are below the line of poverty. In the last 10 years, 20.2% of the population is below the line of indigence. The legal minimum wage is paid to more than 4 million workers. This is equivalent to $212 monthly, $7 daily for a working day of 48 hours weekly. Colombians' annual income per capita is $3,000 approximately. This figure is speculative due to the constant changes in the information gathered in the last census in Colombia. Since the end of the 80s, many labor and social safety reforms have been promoted. These reforms have been disregarding not only the constitutional human right, but also the agreements with the ILO. Clearly, this harms the workers and affects negatively the syndicalism. The figures highlight that by 2007, only 4.6% of the total working population is organized in unions. There are 3 labor head offices where the unions gather. Historically, the Colombian state and the businessmen have fostered small company unions, of which there are many in relation to the scarce unions of industry, to the branches of the economy, or to the services. During the recent history of the country, union men and women workers have been victims of systematic, permanent, and selective violations of their rights. It is not a diffuse and indiscriminate violence. On the contrary, the violence is reflected in the occurrence of homicides against union workers, which is directly linked to the existence and to the development of the labor disputes, in the middle of which violence acts as an effective regulator. The workers who decide to take the legal decision to become part of the union are persecuted not only by the state, but also by the companies that are in opposition with this. Thus, the international complaint is known by linking businessmen and representatives of the Colombian state in these murders, as it happened with the multinational companies Chiquita Brands, Nestlé, and Coca-Cola. Colombia and coffee. It is said that the Colombian coffee model is unique in the world. Nowadays, out of 3,050,141 coffee zones, only 900,000 are used. These are distributed in 590 municipalities. In 1927, the coffee producers decided to form a private, non-profit, and corporate organization, linked since its beginnings to the Colombian state, called the National Federation of Coffee Growers of Colombia, company which this year celebrated its 80th year of existence. More than 2 million people depend on the Colombian coffee. This represents the 29.5% of the agricultural employment and contributes the 12.4% to the agriculture GDP, gross domestic product. When the Law 50 of 1990 was approved, many things changed. There was no more labor stability, the workers' salary was lowered, and their guarantees became flexible to modifications, preventing the workers to take part in the union. And the law also diminished all the guarantees granted in the ILO agreements by attacking not only the affiliation of the workers to the union, but also the confirmation of the union subdirectives of special protection. Since this date on, not only the managers of the National Federation of Coffee Growers of Colombia, but also its coffee deposit warehouses called Almacafe S.A., by means of an anti-union and undemocratic policy, they have devoted themselves to impugn and to demand the existence of the subboards of Sintrafec, Workers' Union of the National Federation of Coffee Growers and Almacafe S.A., and Sintrainduscafe, Workers' National Union of the Coffee Industry. As a result of which today, Sintrafec only has 17% of the subdirectives it had in 1965, and it only has 19% of the affiliates it had in 1990. In addition, all the permanent permissions for the national directives of Sintrafec were suspended unilaterally in 2008. Against the anti-union policy and the violation of the human right of association exists a complaint before the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights in Washington, D.C., and 2 more complaints before the International Labor Organization. The National Federation of Coffee Growers appears before the world as a non-governmental organization. This federation takes advantage of its good national and international commercial image with symbols as Juan Valdez, Buendia Coffee, and Coffee 100% Colombian, to receive without blushing resources of NGOs and foreign governments to defend the democracy, the human rights, and the involvement of the community, while at the same time attacks and seeks to destroy the unions of its own workers. When Café Liofilizado de Colombia, known before as Fábrica de Café Liofilizado, Cenicafé, the world's most important scientific coffee center, and the departmental committees of farmers are all subsidiaries of the National Federation of Coffee Growers. Buendia Coffee is produced in Buen Café Liofilizado de Colombia, where approximately 500 people work 24 hours a day,